protecting life from weapons. Yeah, but I know I'm protected by the love of God, grace and mercy. Just take me higher, just like skyscrapers. You keep blessing me. Look at He's making a way. Look at everything. Look at I can't take no credit. He's the one who did it. Look at God. I am always reminded you were always behind me. I can't take no credit. Hey, Greta. Hey, girl. Hey, how you doing, Mama Grand Rising? I hope you're doing okay tonight. As for me, I'm absolutely amazing, but I make it my business to wake up intentional, mindful, and conscious so I have these kind of results, okay? So I'm amazing on purpose, but that's my business. Hey, Jeremy. Hey, 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 Grand Rising, Grand Rising. So today, I got on real quick to talk about spiritual warfare. I got on a minute ago, and well, I had to get back on because I was not happy with the results. So I'm gonna get on, teach this lesson right quick. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free at any time to drop them below, and I absolutely will respond. Okay, so today we're going to talk about spiritual warfare. And unfortunately, it's hard to comprehend a threat from an unseen realm, but spiritual warfare is very real, happening right now, and it is absolutely at an all-time high. So if you are experiencing things in your life, circumstances in your life, certain situations in your life, and you're not understanding where they're deriving from, I want you to absolutely to consider spiritual warfare, okay? Spiritual warfare refers to the ongoing conflict in which believers contend against spiritual forces of evil. The term encompasses both the invisible realm of dark and light. It's basically a fight for your soul between the dark and the light. That is all that it is. And the thing about it is, the battle begins the moment you come out of the birth canal, okay? What you have to realize is, unfortunately, certain things that you have been pre-exposed to, certain things that you have experienced or will experience, is where and how these unseen entities are able to entangle in our spirits. Not only that, some of these entities are passed down from generations to generation. This is where generational cycles, chains, bondages, and curses come in, okay? And some of these entities you actually invite in and allow them through certain acts that you perform, okay? The thing about it is, this is inevitable and you absolutely cannot escape it. Certain environments are hosts to certain spirits. Certain people that you are around are hosts to certain spirits. So you need to be aware of your environment and the company that you keep in all time, because you don't know what is being hosted in that space. And if you are unaware to spiritual warfare or spirituality in itself, then you are absolutely going to be a breeding ground for these entities. If you are a low vibrational being, I'm sorry. If you are in a dark place in your life, if you are experiencing certain emotions and things of this nature, this is going to absolutely make you a target for these lower vibrational entities, okay? Most people are unaware of the fact that as soon as you are born, the battle for your soul begins. The moment we come into this realm, from the moment we begin learning things from our parents, from the moment we begin learning things at school, from the moment we begin hearing, from the moment we begin seeing, from the moment we begin comprehending, your soul is a battleground. The light not only wants you, so does the dark. And whichever side can gain your attention is going to be the winning side. Depending on who you are, depending on the calling on your life, is absolutely going to play also a part into the spiritual warfare on your life. Take it from somebody who knows. I've experienced it firsthand, not only personally, but I've also had to watch people that I love battle spiritual warfare. Okay? Now, you also have to be careful when it comes to certain emotions. I've talked to you about emotions all the time. Okay? Remember, what you think, feel, and believe about yourself then becomes an emotion because you've allowed it to feel, because you believe that thought or whatever it is that has been deposited into your mind, and you've now allowed it to be deposited into your spirit. Once you allow that deposit into your spirit and that emotion goes into energy, if you're not careful, that emotion can absolutely become a spirit. And this is how you get up under a stronghold. Remember, we are energy vibrational beings. All we do is exchange energy all day long, whether it's between each other or between whatever energies are dwelling in the unseen realm. Just like you can't see God, just like you can't see spirit, you're not going to be able to see the evil. You're not going to be able to see the demons. You're not going to be able to see the darkness. Now, it may be a point in your life where you absolutely may be able to see these things, but I'm talking about right now in the bigger spectrum, right? A stronghold is a mindset or a pattern that attempts to redefine anything that spirit has already defined or manufactured for you in your life. What does that mean? That means that stronghold, that emotion that you gave that energy to, and that now is become a spirit and now is controlling your vessel, is going to keep you from becoming who God, spirit, source, your ancestors, the cosmos have created you to be. This is why spiritual warfare exists. Okay? This is why you in a fight. Again, it's a fight between the light and the dark for your soul. I also want you to remember that spirit does not give you the finished product. Spirit gives you raw materials, and it is up to you to put it together. A part of that raw material is you figuring out your purpose. Okay? Now, let me say this about the darkness because I don't want it to get misconstrued here. The darkness is not where we want to dwell, but we all, every person, every human, will experience darkness at some point in your life. The thing about the darkness is when you are in that darkness, you are there on purpose. Everything that happens in your life now, that happened yesterday and will happen tomorrow, is absolutely on purpose. If it is in the darkness, it is because there is a lesson there for you to learn. Once you gain that lesson, you will absolutely gain a weapon, a piece of knowledge, a piece of information, a tool, something that you are going to use later on in your life when you come up against certain battles. The point of the dark spaces is to experience them once, learn the lesson, and move on. But unfortunately, depending on, what did I say earlier, your life, what you've been pre-exposed to, your environment, your mindset, is absolutely going to play a part into the way that you perceive things. And if you are perceiving things and from that lower space here, you are absolutely what? A breeding ground for that darkness. Okay? This is where you find your purpose. So, wait a minute. What did I write here? Hold on. Let me read this right quick before I say this here. Oh, yeah. So, this is where you find your purpose. Once you pick a side. Once you pick a side, and I'm going to tell you now, it's going to be in the light. Okay? It's absolutely going to be in the light. You may, like I said, you may find some things in that darkness leading you to your purpose. And that's the thing. Everything that happens in the darkness is a part of your purpose, because the pain that you experience in those dark places, all that heartache, all the guilt, all the negativity, this is where your alchemizing and the transmuting comes in. Right? And we know the more things that you go through, the heavier they are, the bigger they are, the more powerful you are. So this is why, again, you experience spiritual warfare. Because especially when the devil, the darkness knows who you are. Woo! Get ready for that fight. Get ready for that fight. Because it's coming. It's coming. And it's up to you to win this battle. Okay? Therefore, you must begin to remove your attention away from that which seems so real to you and rise up in consciousness to that which you are called and desired to be. Remember, where attention goes, attention flows. So if you're giving your attention to the light, you're making it more powerful. If you're giving your attention to the dark, you're making it more powerful. And the other thing about it is, whatever side you choose, it wants all your attention. That means your mind, your body, your soul. You hear me? Everything. And let me throw this in as a side note here. Spiritual warfare can absolutely get physical too. So you can absolutely experience things in the physical realm dealing from the spiritual warfare. Okay? You absolutely will experience situations in this physical realm from that spiritual warfare. Just like everything else happens up there and comes down to the physical realm, it ain't no difference from the spiritual warfare. So you want to be really paying attention to what you are allowing to derive in your mind. And everything begins with a thought. Please don't forget that. This is why you need to be observing these thoughts. This is why we know just because you think a thing does not mean that it is true. You got the darkness depositing things into your mind, because the only way that it can come to fruition is for you to allow it to come through you. And it has to come through your mind first. Okay? So, start paying attention to where your attention is going. When you find your attention going to a certain activity, a certain situation, a certain person, a certain environment, and you know it's not good for you, you need to start retracting that. You need to start unplugging yourself. You need to start pulling that attention away. As soon as you start pulling that attention away, whatever it is will die. It can only be alive because you're feeding it, my love. This is why whatever you're going through in the midst of this spiritual warfare, it's not just is what it is. It is what you allow. Your reality is not set in stone. This is where your free will comes in, because at any time when you tap in, you can absolutely decide and choose to change it. But you have to pick a side. Whatever controls the soul controls the man. You the man. You it. All this is for you. All that you going through is for you. It is. So if it's a lot, that means you big. Okay? Now, the thing about this is one of y'all has to die. Somebody got to go. Somebody got to go. I'm telling you now, I've tried it. I tried it not once, twice, maybe 3, 4 times here. I'm here to tell you, it will not work. It will not work. You can't keep straddling the fence. That's why I'm saying that darkness is beneficial. Take all the lessons learned. Gather up all your tools and things that you've gotten from that dark, and you take it over to the light, and that's where you become a giant. Okay? That's where that transmuting and alchemizing comes in. That's when you come into that light, because of all the things that you went in through in the darkness, when you come over into that light with your pack sack here and all your tools, and you see what I'm saying here? This is when you start building your new world. This is where your heaven on earth and all these beautiful things come into play. We were not born to conform, loves. We were born to transform. We were born to pull down the invisible into the physical realm. We are all creators. But you got to get into alignment. And the only way to get into alignment is you got to go through this spiritual warfare. Okay? Hold on, let me see where I'm going here. Let me just throw this in. I've been through spiritual warfare. Like I said earlier, I've watched people that I love go through it. It is not easy, and it is not fun. It is hard to be in the darkness and not know how to find the light. I know. It's scary. It's long. Oh, God. Don't get me started here. Hey, Chels. Hey, baby. How you doing, my love? Grand rising. Or should I say grand night? Because it's already nighttime. But I've been waiting on y'all all day. I've been waiting on this live all day. I forgot what I was saying. But, yeah. I've been through the spiritual warfare. It don't never stop, and that's the other thing. It don't never. You can absolutely win and be winning, but it'll never stop. At some point in your life, it'll always pop back up. But like I said, I remember being in that dark, sunken place. I remember, whether it was when I was in prison, whether it was when I was in my addiction, whether it was when I was in that domestic violence relationship, whether it was when, pick something. It doesn't matter. But I've been in that dark a whole bunch of times. One thing I can remember is, though, it got dark around me a lot. I was born into the darkness, right? That's where that environment comes in. But I was born into the darkness, and so it was my norm. It's all that I knew. I thought I was dark. I thought I was cursed. I had so many thoughts about myself. But then every now and then, I would see like a burst of light. You know, I could see the light at that end of that tunnel, but I just didn't know how to get there. I didn't know how to get there. Not only that, I didn't feel like I deserved. I didn't feel like I was worthy. Oh God, I was so helpless and so depressed. Every time a beautiful thought came into my mind, I overthought it right on out. I had that spirit of rebellion on me. That spirit of that them chains had me bound. I could think about doing so many beautiful things, but there wasn't no action behind it. But 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I reached the lowest point I think that I've ever been in my life. And I absolutely knew, and this is the other thing about spiritual warfare. When things are happening in your life and you don't know where they coming from and you feel like you don't have no control, you absolutely do. You absolutely do, because it's your life. Nothing can happen in your life unless you allow it. And I don't care what it is. The thing about it is, you don't have the awareness, the mindfulness, you don't have the consciousness, so you cannot perceive, you cannot see at that level of where you're being attacked from, is all that is. But to think that you don't have no control of it, you absolutely do. You have to take a moment and take a step back and face some hard truths. You got to take some responsibility and accountability for your life. It's okay. Everything that happened to you was absolutely not your fault. So stop carrying it around. This is why we live to learn to do better. I just had this conversation with my daughter the other day. A lot of these kids, they don't understand what we go through until they have their own children. You see, and things like this here. You see what I'm saying? So certain things that you went through, you experienced, you entangled yourself in and all this, don't hold that against yourself now that you have the awareness of. All you need to do is have that awareness of, and you can take control over it. So again, I hope that this helps you. I hope that something that I said has shed some light on you here tonight. But if you are in the midst of spiritual warfare, fight. You absolutely can win this battle. You were created specifically for it. You got this. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you spending some time with me. But before I go, I want to leave you with this, because it says this in the Bible. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but wrestle against principalities, against powers. Let me start over, because I don't think I read that right. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against spiritual wickedness in high places. It's time for you to rise up so you can fight. Enjoy the rest of your night. What do I want you to do for the rest of your night? Bye bye.